What's going on? This is Ryan with Automatic Comics, and up next we are going to go over 10 of the surprising sales that I saw last week. Stay tuned. All right, so before we get started, please remember to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. So what this is I go over 10 of the surprising sales that I saw during the weekly Heritage comic auction. I pick 5 on the high side and 5 on the low side. So 5 that surprised me on the high end that beat my estimates, and 5 that surprised me on the low end that failed to meet my estimates. If you haven't watched these before, what I do is I watch the weekly Heritage comic auction every week. I price out anywhere usually from about 150 to 200 books per week, and I go through and I pick out 10 of those surprising sales. So I hope you enjoy this video. Let's check out these books.
But yeah, so now what I want to do is I want to get into first the top 5 high sales that I saw tonight. So these are the surprising 5 high sales that I saw tonight. And the first one, you got a little preview of it, was this Eerie #1. Now I have had a copy of this book before. It's a pretty cool cover. This is the second, I kind of call it the second volume for Eerie, because the first Eerie #1 is that first horror comic. This is one that comes a little bit later. That one was in, I think, 1947. This one's in 1951. And I had this book estimated to go for $1,000, beat my estimate by 20%, went for $1,200. And its record from just September of last year was 1,080. So this was a nice, like, strong sale for this book. Just a ghoulish cover. You know, you've got the, I got a buddy that he's always looking for he's trying to put together like the women in tubes covers. And so I think this is going to be one that has to be on his list. If he doesn't have this one already, he's definitely gonna have to watch out for that one. Let's move on to number 2 on the surprising high sales here. So this is a pretty well-known book. This is Tomb of Terror #15. So they had this one graded as a 3.0. Now it's a raw. My concern is, would it actually get a 3.0? That was my biggest concern with this book. So I had estimated this book's value at $3,500, beat my estimate by 30%. And so if you look at the notes with this one, it says it's missing the original staples, and the book is held together with 2 additional staples that were added after manufacturing. I don't know. This would be one where I would be very not confident in my submission to CGC on how they would treat this book, because those staples are gone. Now, if you don't have the staples, it's kind of weird how it seems to work. It's like they didn't put the staples back in the staple holes, like they're trying to, hide that it was a replaced staple. So usually you're not going to get a restored label, I don't think, for it. But I think they're going to treat it like there are no staples there. And I don't know if you can get a 3.0 with this. I'd also be very concerned about how strong that spine is. Like if there's a bunch of spine splitting somewhere in there, because usually those staples aren't missing for no reason. It's usually because there's a lot of fragility or something at that spine and they came out. And so, yeah, it is a very nice presenting copy, like great colors, pretty good edges and everything. But that spine made me very nervous. And so I wasn't valuing it like a 3.0. This sale was like this was a 3.0, but I would be a little concerned when this goes into CGC, what it would actually get. So, I mean, I know sometimes people that buy this stuff watch the channel or they follow me on Instagram, that kind of thing. So, I mean, if whoever bought this does, I'd be interested in seeing what it comes back as if it gets sent into CGC. Because this one, that was my big concern with this book, is I did not trust what this would ultimately grade out as, because it did not have the staples. All right, let's move on to number 3 here. So this one, not something you see very often. This was a single page from Detective Comics number 27. This is page 10. This was not a Batman page. So, I mean, if it's a Batman page, they go for way, way more. But this is not a Batman page. This one, I had estimated it at $1,050. The prior record was $1,050 from 2021. Now, I had looked at other non-Batman pages, and they didn't really seem to have changed in value all that much. And so that's why I kept it about the same, even though it was 2 years ago. Beat my estimate by 49% with a $1,560 sale. So really strong sale, in my opinion, for this page. And yeah, not a Batman page, but still a page from the book that had the first appearance of Batman in it. And the interesting thing was that there was also a Action 1 page that sold, and I felt like that one went really low. It was also a non-Superman page, but that one went low. But this, in my opinion, this one went pretty high. Was a really strong sale. All right, now to number 4. This one, I've been talking about these a lot, and they still surprise me when you get these sales. This is Authentic Police Cases number 23. So this is a Matt Baker cover, and Matt Baker covers just anytime you seem to get them in an upper mid grade, somewhere in the 6s or I mean 7s are rare. So something in the 6s, you get big sales for those books. So this was a new record. I had estimated this book would sell for $600. The prior record was $180 from 2015. So it was 8 years ago, but still, I mean, this one, I think a 4.0 sold for around $250. But once you get into these like upper mid grades where they're pretty rare in grade, you just end up having really strong sales for those books. Because let's see how many are actually in grade. So at a 6.5, there are only 4 higher out of a total of 15 universal copies. And so, I mean, it's just, there aren't hardly any in high grades. I mean, let's take a look at that. I mean, look at this. There's 170, 180, and 285s. There's not even a 9. For whatever reason, these books from St. John Publications, whether it's Authentic Police Cases or a bunch of the different romance covers or romance titles, they get big numbers, you know. So if you are looking for something if you find a book that's from one of these titles that's in an upper mid grade and you find it for a good price, it's probably worth picking up because they just seem to carry a lot of value. And this is interesting here. So we've got Malibu Comics. You were the underbidder and you viewed it as a 2.5. Yeah, that's what I graded it as well. I was thinking 2.5, but I was still nervous that it might not get a universal label. I wasn't sure because, like, I know sometimes if you submit books that don't have staples, you'll get qualified labels. And anytime you've got those other color labels, like, it can really hurt the value of your book. And so that was my main concern with that one. And so this was number 4. This was Authentic Police Cases, number 23. Now the most surprising high sale that I saw was this one, and this made me laugh when I saw this one come up as the most surprising high sale. This is Batman number 66, 7.0, and I had it estimated at $1,600. The prior record was $1,550 from 2020, but this book had been relatively flat in other grades. And so I wasn't really expecting a big sale from it. It sold for $2,520, beat my estimate by 58%. Now, the reason that this was especially surprising to me is that there were a number of nice Batman books, like early-ish Golden Age Batman books that were in this. And most of them went for around what I expected them to go for. This one, though, just this one went for way above my estimate. And I thought I just got a kick out of it. Made me laugh. Let's see. I remember a number 1 cut. Oh, gosh, man. So this is Thomas Palmer. He says, I remember a number 1 cutout from the cover of Action 1 going for $7,000 in a CGC holder. It looked ridiculous in the holder. Yes, I remember that video. It was Dave with Comic Book Investments put out that video about that Action 1 number 1 selling for that number. I think it might have been on Comic Connect, something like that. I must have watched that video that he put out like 5 times because I was just cracking up. The way that he was described, I would recommend going back in his history and trying to find it because the way that he described that sale just made me laugh so hard. Also, the funny thing was they made it white pages. How do you make that tiny little one white pages? There were no pages that were part of that book. I don't know how you even give it a page quality. So I remember that was so funny. I was cracking up when I saw that. All right, so now what I want to do is I'm going to go on to the top 5 surprising low sales. So this is what I always like to talk about when I'm going over these auction results because like we talked about a little bit earlier, there are always high sales and there are always low sales. And so, I mean, if you're the person that's selling the books, you know, like Heritage or Comic Link or Comic Connect, you want to advertise your high sales. They're the ones that you really want to put out there. But it's also good to know that there are deals out there too. Even when there are high sales, there are big records, there are also deals out there. And that's what most of these, I would say, are deals. Now, sometimes it's that the books are going down. especially what we were experiencing over the last year. You could have sales that are below your estimates, but that's just because that book is dropping so fast that it just keeps failing to meet the estimated prices over and over again. Whereas a lot of times, especially with Golden Age, since they don't sell as often, a lot of times it is like somebody getting a good deal on that book. So the first one, I was actually the underbidder on this one. I was busy during this auction, and so I didn't have a chance to actually bid on it live. I don't know if I would have thrown in another bid or not, but first one here was Marvel Mystery Comics number 82. So there you can see my underbidder bid of $3,240, sold for $3,360. Now, I do have people ask about that quite a bit, about the buyer's premium and everything, because I know the buyer's premium rubs people the wrong way a lot of times. I think it's not something you necessarily really need to focus on. All you really need to focus on as the buyer is that final number. I don't even look at the bid. I pay no attention to this 2,700 number. It means nothing to me. The only number that matters is this number, the number plus the buyer's premium. The only people that should really care about the buyer's premium are the sellers, because the sellers aren't getting that. That's going to Heritage. So, maybe they work out a deal and they get some percentage of it. I don't know. But most of the time, that's Heritage's profit that they're making on the sale. And so as a buyer, I couldn't care less about that buyer's premium. All I care about is the final number that the book is selling for. And so I think a lot of times they, just get distracted by this, this extra amount here, but you don't really have to worry about it. That's really funny. So this is Jeffrey Ross. I'm glad you were distracted. That was my win. Well, at least I made you pay a little bit more for it. So I always joke about that. And one of the things I really enjoy about auctions is it feels like a competition. I like the idea of throwing those bids in and, having. Now, I didn't like it when I lost that Pep Comics 26 and someone at the last second kept bidding me up, and I ultimately ended up losing it. And so it goes both ways. I mean, I know other people are doing it too. But yeah, no, congratulations on that win. I think that was a great buy because, like I said, this was one of the surprising low sales to me. I had estimated this book at $4,400. The prior record just from April of this year was $4,431. So this was below that estimate by 24%. So yeah, congratulations. That was a great buy for you. And sad for me because I didn't end up getting it. Because if you're not familiar with this one, this is the origin and first appearance of Namora. And so you don't get those first appearances all that often in the Golden Age, and you especially don't get first appearances where they're on the cover. And so that's one of the things that makes this a big deal, is that not only is it this, Golden Age first appearance, it's also a first appearance that's on the cover, which just makes this an even more, special book, key in my opinion. All right. So now number 2. Now this one, there are some reasons maybe that this one went low. Now you can see there is a fair amount of writing on the cover. And so some people, that's a big deterrent. Me, normally I'm okay with writing, but this is a little bit more distracting. And so I could see why that could hurt the value some, but it seemed to hurt it quite a bit potentially, because I had estimated that this book would go for $4,600. The prior record was $4,200 from July of 2022. And so this was below my estimate by 24%. So I think regardless that this was a good deal, but that's probably why, because when you're doing an auction, you're counting on having those people there, multiple people bidding. And if you have, say, 5 people that were interested in this book, and 2 of them are like, I don't really want the ink on the cover, the pen on the cover, then you have less people that are ultimately competing for that book. And so that could have been the reason it went a little bit lower, but I still think that was a great price given other prior sales for this book. So this was number 2, Superboy number 1, and a 6.5 that went 24% below my estimate. And so now let's check out number 3. So Batman again. So this was actually one that went low. Most of the other Batman books went right around my estimate. This one went pretty low in my opinion. This is just a Joker cover. There's not anything really key about it other than the fact that, people like to collect Joker covers. I am one of those people. I like to collect Joker covers. And so this is Batman number 40 and a 5.5. I estimated that this book would sell for $1,650. Now this book hadn't sold since July of 2020. And at that point it went for $805. So this was a record, but I still felt like it went low based on what other grades have sold for. For example, a 5.0 in August of last year went for $1,560. So I felt like this, whoever got this for a good price. It was just went lower than what I expected, because those Joker covers, they're always in demand. He's the most popular villain, or one of the most popular villains in the world, one of the longest running villains, if not the longest running villain. And so his covers, especially in the Golden Age, are always in demand. So I think somebody got a great pickup on that one. Now, number 4. This one was a little more affordable book, not, the multiple thousands of dollars like a lot of the other books I've talked about. This was Dark Mysteries number 18. I like these Dark Mysteries covers. They are really well drawn, detailed skeleton covers. There's multiple skeleton covers like this that are in here. Some are more expensive than others, but this one I felt like went for a great deal. I had estimated that this book would sell for $600. Went for $432, which is 28% below my estimate. The record just from March of this year was $600. So I think whoever got this picked it up for a great price. Color strike looks really nice, like great colors on this one. And if you see, these guys are coming back to kill this butcher because they sold them poisoned meat that killed them. But yeah, I've always think that the skulls that are part of in the skeleton detail and everything that's on these Dark Mystery covers always just look really, really impressive. So they always catch my attention. Whenever I see these books from this run coming up for sale, I'm always watching those. There was one other Dark Mysteries book that sold as well in this auction. I think maybe one issue earlier. Yeah, this one here. I think it also went low. So this is Dark Mysteries number 15, went for $240. I had this one estimated at $325. So this one I think was about 26% below my estimate. So another one that went for a good deal in my opinion. And again, you've got that same type of skull, just really good detail, a lot of detail put into the skulls and skeletons and everything that are on these covers. All right, now for number 1, the most surprising low sale that I saw was Tales from the Crypt number 29. Now this is a raw copy, VG copy, and I always like the Tales from the Crypt books. I mean, you can't really go too wrong with pre-code horror books from the EC runs. And this is an example of that. And this one, I had the estimate at $400, went for $228, 43% below my estimate. I think whoever picked this one up got a great buy. If I had been paying attention, I 100% would have made this person pay a little bit more for this book. I would have been bidding on this one to try to win this book. So I didn't win this one though. I didn't bid on it. So whoever got it, congratulations on your pickup. But yeah, so those were the top 10 surprising sales, 5 on the high side, 5 on the low side that I saw tonight. All
right, so those were the 10 surprising sales, 5 on the high side, 5 on the low side from this week. If you happen to miss my live stream that I did this week, these were ones that I talked about during that live stream. I know that not everybody gets a chance to watch the live stream and they're pretty long, so you might not catch some of these segments. So I thought I would pull this out and give everybody a chance to check out these surprising sales from this week as well. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I've got more videos over here if you'd like to watch some of my other videos, and the subscription button is right here. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, I'd really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video.